Here are some additional 7 foil techniques. We're going to be doing a look with Kate that involves absolutely no regrowth. Kate's been growing out some previous highlights, and she said, Mary-Gail, what I want to do is I want to do something that's darker with my overall look. But she still wants to see some of the nuances going through it. But she doesn't have the time to do the retouching. So what we're going to be doing with Kate, to still see a lot of movement in her sides, we're going to be doing more of a bricklay foiling technique where we're going to be placing one foil up and one foil down further in the head, another foil up, another one down further in the head, leaving the back to sit exactly the way it is, then on the other side doing the same bricklay pattern. In between all the foils, we're going to be putting a demi color to add that depth that Kate's looking for, so we get a richer, deeper, more opulent look. So Maria, what have you got going on over there?
Okay, so this is my model, Lauren, and when we originally looked at Lauren's profile card, she had come in for the 7 foil technique that she had seen advertised. And then when we went through the profile card, we discovered that really what she was interested in was a little more shine and a little more depth. So what we decided to do is going to be a tone-on-tone technique. And the first thing that we're going to do is apply her color, which is going to be in a level 7, but it's going to be much warmer than her existing color. Then what we're going to do, and we'll bring up the pattern so you can see what it looks like on the screen, is we're going to design almost like a lightning bolt type of pattern on her head, where we're going to go 2 across the front, and then we're going to come back across in a zigzag pattern so that we get a little bit more color intermixed on both sides of her head. But we're going to cover some of this, but not really cover it so that it's exactly the same color, more of like a blending. So when we're finished, we'll end up with a warmer, deeper, all over base color, and then the highlights will be brighter, and these highlights will pick up more of that golden tone. So I'm going to get started with applying my all over color, and I'm going to pass it over to Mindy.
Okay, this is my model, Colleen, and Colleen is the perfect candidate for a 7 foil technique, because just like a lot of our customers who come in the salon for haircuts, I noticed as I was cutting Colleen's hair is that she has some lowlights that have been put in probably, I would say, a couple months ago, and they've grown out slightly, but it's not a big difference between her new growth and what the lowlights have faded out to. So suggesting to a customer, how would you love to have your hair color be a bit brighter, is a great opportunity to utilize the 7 foil techniques along with a haircut. So with reference to the diagram, I'm going to take a section, it's going to be actually a triangle, but I'm going to place the triangle just off center because she does wear a side part. So I'm going to start my triangle just about the temple area, or where the hairline recedes slightly there, and then to the crown, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to take the triangle once again to the opposite side, right about the recession area. And then I'm going to clip this out of the way, and my foils are going to be placed at a diagonal across that triangle. So if I took this out of the way here and bent her head forward, you can clearly see that triangle shape. And what will happen is, in the end result, it's going to be a very subtle but yet brighter end result. So Mary-Gail, how you doing over there?
I'm doing great. We've already started the first foil with Kate, and you can see that the foils that I'm using this time are smaller. Because I'm going to be laying my demi color in between the foils, I don't want too big of packages to be working around those spots. So I've already separated out where Kate parts her hair naturally, making sure that I'm not going into this line. So, and her natural part line, you can see, is way over here. So my next section that's going to be happening with this panel is going to go up a little bit higher, once again staying off of where Kate parts her hair naturally. So again, I promised her that she wouldn't have any regrowth when she leaves me, or within a month from right now. And Kate was also one of our clients who was interested in doing 7 foils in her hair, and she's very typical from many of our clients where they come in with previous color and they might need just something little, like you can see where Kate's previous highlight is. Some of these areas, you can see that she's got about almost 2 inches worth of outgrowth. So what we're doing is almost marrying that new growth. We're going to blend from her old highlight, kind of marry these two together, but because it's not happening in her part, we're able to get 2 things for her: an overall deeper color, plus still add a little highlight to it simultaneously. So, just like in the previous technique, I'm holding the hair in between my first and second finger, staying anywhere from 3/4 of an inch to 1 inch from Kate's scalp, putting a lot of tension in that area. Again, with my smaller foil, holding it at the bottom of the foil, comb at the bottom, teeth down, tail on the inside. If my teeth were up and my foil flipped over, I'd puncture the foil. So that's why it's so important for me to keep my teeth in the position headed towards the floor. Then I'll take my thumb and push it towards the floor. This is the most important part. If I lift this up and hold it down, I've got a lot of stability in Kate's foil. Sometimes what ends up happening is if my hands get too far away from the scalp, I'm ending up doing a twisting thing and trying to hold on to it, especially with these little slices. I want to do something that really gives me the stability that I can keep it close to Kate's head. And just like before, I'm still going to take my product, starting 3/4 to an inch away, fuse that down into it. Once I get the product all the way through Kate's hair, I can even overlay that right into the top, because her hair is a little bit longer than the foil, but I don't want to use a large foil. I want to make sure that I've got my product all the way through each section, and then I'll take my brush once again and just lightly fuse it in with the tip of my brush. Again, so everything sits in very natural without ending with a hard angle this way. Everything's just being fused in much softer. Placing the foil straight up, marry my 2 edges together. I'm going to use the tail of my comb to smooth it out and to make just a beautiful little package. And I want to make the package so this way when I'm doing any of my color in between, I'm ensuring that I don't get any slipping of the foil itself. So I'm going to continue on, do one more in a lower bricklay pattern, move over to my side and do my 4 and keep my 3 on this side.
Okay, so I'm just finishing up the application on Lauren's base color, which again is a demi-permanent color. And because her ends are a little bit more porous, I'm going through the new growth and the mid-shaft first, and then I'm just going to go through and pull it through the ends right before I start my foiling technique. Now the other thing that you want to keep in mind is that when you're doing your color application, it's a great time to talk to your clients about the maintenance of their new hair color, because they're now dealing with a different texture of hair a lot of times after a chemical service. You want to talk to them about products that will put moisture back into their hair. You want to talk to them about the shampoo to recommend and any styling products that are new and fabulous for your client. I think it's a good idea that during the service you give them that information. It's difficult to offer a retail product up at the register after you've gone through the entire service and not mentioned anything at all. So I'm just going to do this last little bit, and then I'm going to mix up my product. And the other thing I'd like to mention is Lauren's hair is extremely fine. So I am using a very, very low volume of developer with my lightener, because even though it's a tone on tone, I want it to come up nice and slow where I have some control, and not have to take the demi color off too quickly because my lightener has already processed. So what I'll do now is turn it over to Mindy, and then I'll come back when I've started to place my foils.
Okay, so I've put the first 2 foils in, but I wanted to share with you the reason that I'm using the full-length foil versus having them ripped. Because once I get to the widest part of the head, if I took and ripped the foil this way, let me share this with you, it's not going to be wide enough. So what I want to make sure is that I get an even application from this side of the triangle to this side of the triangle without having the hair have to buckle in order to reach the foil, so that I don't have a line of demarcation immediately. So I'm taking a very small slice, about 1/8 of an inch. You should be able to read a newspaper through your partings. I'm placing my rat tail comb at the top of the foil, folding it, because with this length, it's very difficult to have the hair fold the foil for you evenly. I'm going to place the comb at the scalp area, slide my comb out, and you notice I have a lot of tension on the hair. I'm going to apply my product, and I'm using a lightener with a very low volume developer. Okay, I'm going about up to 1/8 of an inch from the hairline, or excuse me, the edge of the foil. But you notice I don't have a large amount of product there. If you put too much amount of product close to the edge of the foil, you're going to have expansion onto the hair that you don't want to highlight. And making sure that when you're applying your lightener that it's applied evenly, which is another reason it's important to take 1/8 of an inch section or a see-through parting in order to make sure that the product works completely through that section. Then I'm going to turn my brush vertically just to make sure that that mid-shaft is thoroughly saturated. I'm going to fold the foil in half. You don't want to do a lot of pressing because you don't want to press product up into hair that doesn't need color on it. And then I'm going to fold it. And then I'm actually going to anchor this corner. So as the product starts breaking down, I don't have any fear of the weight of the product in the hair pulling this foil away from the scalp. If I'm doing a highlight low-light technique, I can fold one side for the highlight and the opposite side to indicate the low light. So I'm going to continue on. Maria?
Okay, I'm just putting in my first foil. And what I wanted to show you here was that when you have color on the head, it's really important to then move this out of the way so that you don't get all kinds of hair color on the client's face. So the idea then is after we've moved this out of the way, we can slide our foil underneath there. The other thing that you want to keep in mind is that you want to make sure that your product is really even, and you want a much heavier saturation when you're going over color than you would if you were just doing a foil and there was no other product on the hair. So the idea is that there's a lot of product on the hair because you do want it to penetrate evenly. And then we're just going to go through and we're going to fold up our foil, keeping it off the skin. And then we're going to go to our second one, which is right behind it. And I'll pass it over to Mary Gail and come back and show you when we start to put the zigzag pattern into it.
Thanks, Maria. Where I'm finishing, I'm just kind of wrapping up right now with Kate, that I'm just finishing these last couple of foils. Same techniques. Once I get this wrapped up, I'll show you almost like where that placement is of those steps, that you can literally see where the placement of my section was going, where it looked more like a brick-lay pattern without having to really think about it. It kind of looks like little stair steps, so you can see that it almost looks like a zigzag, but one's lower, then it goes high. If I move these little steps over, which I'm able to do really easy, then it goes low again. So what we're able to get with Kate is still that beautiful little swish that's going to happen right around her face. So where I'm going to place one more foil is right in through this top area, just to give a little bit more movement, but again, making sure I stay away from her part line. And then after that's complete, then I'm going to be able to start applying her demi color throughout scalp to ends.
I'm ready to move into the zigzag pattern now. So I can actually just put it in the head for you. So what we're going to do next is we put in the first two. We're going to come across this way. And this foil is going to be number 3. We're going to come across this way. And this foil right here is going to be number 4. We're going to come across again. And this will be number 5. And across one more time. And come across with number 6. Now, what we're doing is we're slicing, and as we move back towards probably the last 2 in the crown, we'll do a chunkier weave pattern. So I'm going to continue placing the foils in, and from here it goes really, really quickly. So I'm going to take my next section and just do a slice. Again, you want to make sure that you move all of the hair that's near her face away so that she doesn't have an enormous amount of color on her skin that you'll have to spend time to remove later, because the 7 foil technique is really quick, and then you spend a half an hour getting the color off your client's face. That's not really helpful. So the other nice thing about tone on tone is that when you do it on, put the foil on the color, it holds it in place for you. So that's good as well. Okay, Mindy, you're almost finished over there, aren't you?
Yep. I just actually put in my last foil. So really what happens is because we went a triangular shape, the widest part in front, the very last foil became the most narrow. So you go from a lot of hair to a small amount of hair. So what we're going to do is we're going to process Colleen's color. It won't take that long because her natural level isn't that dark to begin with. But I don't want to lift it so light that she has a lot of maintenance on it after about a month. So it's really important to talk to your customer as well. Even though you're doing 7 foil technique, it's important to talk to them about how much maintenance they'd like to have on their hair color. Because the lighter you go from the natural level, the more married they're going to be to their hair color. So it's important to find out, how often they want to have it done. If they're not worried about coming into the salon and having it done frequently, then by all means, you could, do a more dramatic highlight effect. But I want Colleen's color to be very subtle and, kind of like sitting at the beach for a week look. So, and it's really important as well, what Maria was talking about is the maintenance on hair color. The maintenance, where our job is really not complete until we recommend the proper hair care for our customer to use at home. So one thing that I feel that is lacking is conditioning treatments. It's very important that we keep our customers' hair healthy because as we take protein and moisture out of the hair, we have to put it back in. Otherwise, what happens is eventually the hair won't be healthy enough for us to be able to do a chemical service on them. So really recommending that they towel dry their hair prior to a moisturizer, protein treatment, or reconstructor is so important because if they don't towel dry the hair, the good stuff can't get in. So once they towel dry it, the protein and the moisture penetrates, makes the hair stronger, and we have shinier, healthier hair. So I'm going to process Colleen. I'm going to turn it over to Maria, and I'll come back to show you the finished look.
Yeah, Mindy's information on the towel-dried hair is great. And you know what I used to tell my clients is if you bring a dry washcloth into the shower with you, and then especially at the ends where the hair needs more conditioning, just kind of pat the ends while they're in the shower so that their conditioner will work better. Okay, I have 2 more foils to put in, and then I'm going to be done. And I just wanted to share with you the reason that I decided that I would weave in the back, because these foils in the back are going to end up falling horizontally. So I don't want it to look like a veil of color, because always remember when you put foils in horizontally, you get more of an overhang of color. When you put them in on a diagonal or on a vertical, you get more of a drape of color. So in order to break up the back so that it doesn't look too solid with the color, I'm going to weave the last 2, and then we'll process her, and we'll be back when it's finished. Over to you, Mary Gail.
Thanks, Maria. I've just started applying my demi color to Kate's hair. Like we said earlier, we're going to apply this from scalp to ends. Now, the tricky part of doing your demi colors in between the foils is with this one, we also want to start working from the bottom of Kate's head, working towards the top. Because if I start my application of my demi color on the top of the head, things can get very messy. And I want to make sure that even whilst Kate is waiting for her color to process, nothing's around her skin, on any part of her hair, around her facial structure at all. Or I'm always draping it over and it becomes very unorganized. So what I'm doing is taking diagonal sections from the back, from the bottom, working my way up to the top. And as I go through, so these sections start out diagonally, they're going to keep going diagonally till I get to the front. Then, because my foils are also placed in vertically, I'm going to work into that front going vertical. So this way, my foils are lined up with it, so it makes it for such an easy application of color in between the foils. So, and then we'll process her for 20 minutes and we'll come back and we'll show you our final looks. So we've just completed all of our 3 models. Let's take a look at some of these techniques that we've done. Remembering with Kate that with Kate's color, we were doing small, skinny panels. So you're not seeing them at the top, but where you're seeing some of these colors come through is right in through, like all of the little softer pieces around her face. But underneath, they're still there. So if she does want to show them off, all she has to do is take this piece and give it a little bit more swing around that edge, and she can even have a little bit brighter look than something that is more discreet. So the demi color that we've given her gives the overall richness and shine throughout the rest of the hair, which was kind of a surprise because she came in just looking for 7 foils, but she's ending up with something rich, shinier, plus her beautiful little highlight underneath. So let's take a look at Maria's model.
Okay, so we're finished with Lauren, and as you can see, I think we achieved our objective. What we wanted to do is make it deeper, richer, shinier, and warm it up quite a bit. So again, what we did was we did like a lightning bolt pattern where our sections went straight across, and then we started to zigzag back and forth until we got to foil number 6. On foil number 6, we weave number 6, and we also weave number 7. And the reason for that is, again, you didn't want to have a solid block of color falling over that. You wanted to be able to see the dimension in there, and so that you didn't just have this big lump of color. So we didn't slice it back there because we took it horizontally. So Lauren and I are very happy with her new look, and she looks bronzy. Mindy?
Hi, this is Colleen again, and her color, I think, turned out amazing. And it's wonderful that you can take 7 foils and take one look and change it completely. Because remember I told you that she had some grown out lowlights, but just adding the 7 foil highlights technique, it made it appear overall that we did a highlight lowlight technique. Even in the back, where the highlights fell over the round of the head, it gives it the illusion that we even added some depth in the occipital bone area. So really, overall, everyone, every customer who sits in your chair is applicable for color. The 7 foil technique is a wonderful opportunity to suggest to your clients who come in just for haircuts. So you can see overall with the 3 beautiful models that are here right now that 7 foils really and truly can change the whole appearance of your customer. And what our role is as hairdressers is to make sure that we give our customers everything that they need to feel beautiful about how they look when they leave the salon. So have fun with the 7 foils, and good luck.